everyone, welcome, it's Shanna. Now today we're going to work with the layered Gladiola set from Spellbinders. This is a Lisa Horton collection, and we've got all of the dies for the layered Gladiolas, and I'm also going to bring in the torn paper edges and use them. I've actually already used them. I used them on this the Take Note Better Press. I created my tablet-looking paper, and I'm a little bit off camera there, but you'll get a good look at it when we move along. And then I used the torn edges on several just pieces of scrap that I had laying in my little scrap container, and just created some torn edges, and we're going to use that for our base. And I've got a teal background panel that we're going to use, and I'm just going to lay these things aside, and we're just going to start our die cutting. I'm also going to bring in from the scalloped and stitch edge ovals, I'm going to bring in the bow that goes with it, and we'll use it. We used it on our card yesterday for our layered wildflowers, and we're going to use it again today. So we'll just get everything laid down on here. I have sped this up because we've got a lot of die cutting to go. I'll play a little music, and then we'll come back together and we will assemble this card. Okay, so we've got all of our die cutting done for the most part. I think I might have to run one or two more things, but anyway, we're going to just get to assembling. So we've got all of our stems and our leaves here, and we are going to start to assemble. There's 2 leaves for each side of the stem. One is a shorter one, and then one is a longer one. We're going to start with the shorter ones, get them laid down on here, and then we will add our longer leaves to our stems. My glue was clogged up, so I've just got a little pen with a little die cut circle on there just to help me keep track of it, not lose it on my desk. Anyway, we're going to get these all assembled and put together. And then once we get our flowers built, we'll be building our card. This is a really fun set. I will tell you the flowers were a little bit challenging trying to figure it out. When I get to the second set of each, I pretty much have it figured out. But this is the first time I worked with this die set, so I had a little bit of a learning curve on it. And so I'll do some putting together and pulling apart and putting back together, and we'll get them layered right. So I've also got some green buds here that I'm going to lay on these top 3 little stems, or whatever you want to call them. And then I've got a lighter green that is going to layer on top of it. So we'll get these laid down on there, and then we'll layer the lighter green on it. And it'll just make a little two-tone look out of it. And you could use any color green you wanted. I tried to find a green that would kind of complement the teal that I am using on the rest of the cards, so I kind of went with a little blue-green. And then I've got this peridot that I'm using for the tops of the buds. And these are little pieces, so trying to get some glue on there but not make a total mess with them. I will manage to get glue all over my glass board studio mat there, and we'll have to do some cleanup on that before we assemble our card so I don't glue my card to my glass mat. Crafting can be quite messy. So I'm trying to hurry up and get this voiceover done so that I can get this loaded. There is a little farmer's market type thing in town this morning, and my daughter wants to go really early. And so I'm trying to get this done. I don't know that I'll get it done before then, and my video will probably go up late, but we'll see. So I'm just kind of cleaning up my workspace so I don't lose all my bits and pieces, because there are some teeny, teeny, tiny pieces here. Now I'm going to assemble the big flowers first, because I immediately know how those go, so I didn't struggle with that. And on the Spellbinders website, there is a guide that shows you which pieces go with which to create the various different flowers. If you don't have that, I would suggest going to the site and looking at it, because it does provide some insight. It didn't readily occur to me exactly how they went together. And there are really 3 different types of flowers. Well, not really types. We've got Gladiolas, but you have like the closed, the open, and then kind of turned upright, I guess is what I mean. So this is where I realized my die cut had slipped the edge of one of these, and I didn't get the bottom of it, so I'm just going to rerun another one, and we'll use it instead. And so we'll just layer these up. Just trying to get enough glue to hold it, but not enough that it'll make a mess. And I'm glad that I'm actually in the right angle for the assembly, since I was kind of above the screen when I started showing you products, so I apologize for that. Now this is the first one that I do, and this is the one that I struggle with. I eventually get it right, but I do some struggling with it. I think because I actually have the wrong pieces that go together. I'm thinking that this particular light pink goes on there, and it's actually the other one that goes on there. And eventually I'll figure it out. And I've actually skipped to the part where I figured out that I've got the wrong piece on there. So I'm going to pull it off and grab the other piece, and we'll get it laid down on there. I'm still looking at it thinking, this doesn't look right. It's not the right piece. And so I'll pull it off and lay it aside, and then I'll grab the other piece and get it laid down on there, and we'll get it assembled. So I did bring in the ink blending brush and did a little blending on the bottoms of those first 2 flowers that I assembled, and gave them a little bit of dimension. And now we're going to get this assembled. Now you should put the center in there before you put this piece on. I'm going to have to do some tucking. When I assemble this flower together the next time, it's the last flower that I assemble, and I'll do it correctly, and it'll be a lot easier. But, you know, I was learning. And so here's where I'm going to take this and try to shove it down in there. And it's best if you put this circle, kind of circly looking piece, and then go ahead and put the very center, I don't know, stamen on there, and then add this top layer, and it'll go together easier. You'll see that the next time I do that. But just showing you my mistakes so that you can learn from them. And this is where I'm taking like the little, I don't know, stamen or whatever, and sticking it in there. It actually looks better when I do it bottom layer, circle layer, stamen, and then top layer. Top 2 layers. It'll come together. But this looks fine, but it's just an easier assembly if you do it that way. I'm going to go ahead and get these flowers laid down on here, and then we'll get to assembling some more. I was kind of pacing myself. I thought, well, I've done some assembly and I've struggled with it, so let's glue these down, and then we'll try again. So I was kind of giving myself a little break there so I could think about it. And then I get to looking at the picture, and I realize, oh, yeah, now I know how this works, and I'm able to assemble the rest of them just fine. And there are some teeny tiny bits and pieces, and I tried to be really careful moving them on my glass mat so that I wouldn't lose any of them. And there is a certain direction that this goes in because it's going to be the base of the flower that's actually hooked to the stem, so you want to get it in the right direction. And I put the glue on the top, and then I'm like, no, I want this on the bottom. So I'm going to stick the glue there because it's, the part that's going into the stem. So I want it on the bottom, and then I'll add the other pieces to the top of it. And I've already got glue on there, so I can just bring it in and get it laid down. And you can see these are teeny tiny. So I think I'm starting to get this figured out. We'll get them assembled. And I decided to put the little ones, the little stamens in, and then put that last layer on top. And that's when I figured it out, that it would be better to get those in there before you put the other layer on, and it gives an easier application and probably even a better look too. So this is a really pretty set. I had no idea where I was going with this when I used those torn paper edge dies with the pink and the teal, and then I knew I wanted to use these layered Gladiolas, and I wanted to use that take note panel with the where you've torn the torn page, where you've torn it out of the notebook. And I think it actually comes together, even though as I was moving along I thought, what am I doing with this? But it eventually does come together, and I like how it works out. So we'll just keep gluing and assembling all of these and get them laid down on our stems. So we've had some gorgeous weather, but today it's quite windy and the temperature has dropped. I mean, you can just hear the wind howling out there. We've kind of had a roller coaster of weather as far as spring has gone. However, a lot of times we go straight from the heater to the air conditioner, but this year we have not. I think the last 2 days we had air conditioning, but that was it. So that's pretty good that we're this far into May and we've only ran our air conditioning a couple days. So it's always nice when you can open up the house for a while before it gets too hot and just kind of enjoy some fresh air. And this year, amazingly, we have been able to do that. Now this is where I bring that kind of circular center of the flower in, and then I'm going to get it positioned. And then I'm going to bring in those darker stamen pieces. I'm looking for them. They're on the corner of that piece of paper I just picked up. There we go. And I'll get them laid down on there, and then we'll bring in the top layer. And this is how I recommend assembling it. It took me, a couple of flowers to get it nailed down, but this works much better. And I think it's how the die was designed to be assembled. So we'll get it on there, and I've got another little tiny layer that goes on there, and it's teeny. It's just a teeny tiny piece. And we'll get it on there. Try and get it lined up, and there you go. We're going to get it glued down on our stem. And I think we've got all of our bits and pieces. Now we're just ready to assemble our card. It's pretty. I've got ink on my fingers from doing the better pressing in advance. So I did clean off my desk and got the glue off of there, and now we're ready to assemble. I'm looking for my card base, and it was under a pile of stuff that, as I use it, I lay it to the side, and it got underneath there, and I couldn't find it. So we'll get this teal topaz panel laid down on here, and then we'll start working on the other elements that we're going to use. And I'm just eyeballing it. I'm still trying to figure out how's this all going to work together. Now, I do know that take note's going to have to be cut down significantly, and I'll cut and cut and cut until we get it where we want it. I think I start off by 3 3/4 by 5, and I lay it aside, but then later when I come back to it, we're going to just really cut this thing down so that we can see the torn edges of our paper that I've used there. And so we'll just grab this, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, what am I doing with this? This is at the point where I'm not sure what I'm doing. But this is what I had originally thought about doing. So we'll get it figured out. We'll get this laid down on there, and then we'll have our card base. So I'm going to have some hang off the top and the bottom because I've got some shorter pieces, some longer pieces, and I just want them to kind of be seamless on the top and the bottom. So I'm just going to bring in my guillotine and just chop those off, because I had to angle them some and make them crazy looking, and so I knew I was going to do it this way. And then we'll just get some of this stuff cleaned up, and I'm going to take this dear friend again, and I'm going to continue to cut on it, and I'll cut and cut until I get it where I want it. And I've cut it there, and I'm like, still not small enough. I want to see more of those torn edges. So I'll cut it some more. So we'll give this one last cut, and I think this is where I'm going to land with it. And so we're just going to bring in our flowers and see how they're going to lay on here. And I think it'll lay pretty. It makes an interesting looking card, and we're going to go for it. So I'll bring in some foam tape. We'll get this spiral bound piece of paper laid down on there, and then we'll add our flowers to it. And I think we're going to come up with a nice card. And I'm getting a little carried away with foam tape. Probably don't need this much, but it'll be secure. So I like to give my foam tape a good press with my bone folder, and then it makes the strip easy to pull off without pulling the foam tape off the back of your panel there. And then I'm just going to lay this on an angle. I think I did the same thing last time I used this set, but I like it like that. And then we're going to bring our gladiolas in and get them laid down. I think it looks really pretty. Surprisingly, didn't have any idea where I was going with this card, and amazingly enough, it came together. Sometimes I'm like, what are you doing, Shanna? You have no idea. Sometimes, I just feel like I have no creativity at sometimes, day after day, that you just sometimes feel like, oh, what am I doing? But I think it turned out nice, and I'm really happy with it. So I forgot about my bow, and I was also thinking about adding an embellishment. So I'm going to pull in my black bow, and I'm going to work to pull it apart, and then we'll get it laid down on our card base. It's a little bit sticky here trying to get it pulled out. I had a good bit of fumbling with that bow, so I went ahead and cut that out, and we're just going to get it laid down on here, and it'll kind of look like we cut some gladiolas out of our garden and threw a bow on it and gave it to our friend. I'm going to bring in some Spellbinder's black enamel dots, and we'll get them laid down on there. It will add some embellishment to our card, and then that'll finish it up. I thought the black kind of tied in the bow, and so that's why I used the black dots. Had one stuck to my finger there. We'll just get it laid down. So I'm going to do 3 in the upper right-hand corner and 2 in the lower left, and then that will finish off our card. So I hope you like it. I think it's a fun die set. She's got a real nice collection with what she has released. A real quick last look at it. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.